Hey everyone, Sarah Stackhouse here with Real News Communications Network, and I'm here with Leigh, of course, with the Brain Performance Center, and today we are talking a little bit about seeing an actual training session, which is kind of cool.
It is kind of cool, and it's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. This is LENS, which is low energy neurofeedback, and what it does is it sends a very small level of energy, less energy than you get when you open that refrigerator and stick your head in.
Oh, wow.
But it sends that to the brain to see if the brain can respond to it, because sometimes the brain gets stuck and it just can't respond. So Dustin's been a client here for a couple of years, and he is one of our more complex clients who came from almost not being alive to being fully capable, and we've kind of introduced some LENS with him. And we've seen some good change while doing it. This is the result of a session, and when you're looking at that, what you're looking at is certain spots on the head and where I had the sensor, and where you see the blue, it's normal, it's unsuppressed, and where you see the orange, it is hypersuppressed. So that means that brain is stuck. And what we try to do each time is to just create the neuroplasticity, create some neurogenesis, and get that brain working better. So we're going to do a session now, and let me just get that going. It's very quick. It's totally non-invasive. Some clients will say that they feel calmer or more relaxed after the session, but they don't feel any energy coming into their head.
That looks complicated.
Just going to pull up my protocol that we're going to do.
So when this starts to happen, should we be looking for something on the screen or looking at something on Dustin?
Well, you're looking for something on the screen because you'll see. We'll do some variable strong.
So what is variable strong?
So that is for to improve attention and cognitive alertness.
Okay.
And it's a fairly long protocol. So, let's don't do some variable strong. Let's do some variable smooth, which I think is a little bit shorter protocol. You can alter the length of the protocols. You can customize your protocols to your clients, which is one of the things that makes it valuable.
Right. That's great.
And what I'm going to do is, when it starts, you'll see what's being picked up underneath the sensor here, and you'll hear a little red dot. You'll see this go red and hear a beep, and then when it's over, you'll hear another beep. So I'm going to hit start. Well, first I have to select the headset. It's also idiot-proof, which is very nice.
And he has a connector in front of his head and on his ears, correct?
He does, but we're going to move that connector around. That's just where I started, was FP1. And this is what's going on underneath the sensor.
Oh, wow, okay. So does he have to do anything, or is he just kind of working?
He doesn't. He can, the nice thing about it is that we can talk.
Yeah.
We can, and you can do a little cognitive behavioral therapy, work on his breathing. You can do different things while this is going on.
I see. Okay, so can I ask him a quick question?
Oh, of course you can.
All right, Dustin, let's go over here and let me ask you a quick question. So tell everyone, are you feeling anything funky? Is anything going on?
Nothing at all.
Wow, that's awesome. So tell me what it's been like kind of coming here a little bit.
It's been awesome. That's why I come every week.
That's awesome. Really, really cool. So what are we looking for right now on the screen?
We're not really looking for anything. We're just observing what's going on, because I know that's going to look like, if he blinks, I'll pick that up. There you go. We can see that on the screen. But as I move that sensor to different parts of the head, in the front I'm going to get frontal eye blinks. If I go temporal, I'm going to get jaw tension. So what I'm really doing is just watching the screen to make sure that I'm not getting artifact.
Okay.
Because artifact can come from, he can create it, or it can come from his thank you so much. It can come from a cell phone sitting in your lap. And I've learned that one the hard way. So I'm just kind of observing and making sure that the sensor is there. It's doing what it's supposed to do.
Working. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's not feeling any shocks or anything, right?
No, but look at what he's doing.
Oh, wow.
When he messes with his eyes.
Okay. So those are his eyes blinking right there. And then on that screen. That's so interesting. Oh, so is that done?
That's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that sensor. And
So where's that sensor going next?
usually, I'll either go on the outside of the head or the inside of the head and make a big U.
Oh.
So I alter. One time I'll go on the outside and one time I'll go on the inside. Depends on what we're working on. If I'm working on somebody with anxiety, OCD, always. Addiction, always. I'm going to go right down the middle of the head every time. And then change some other things, but always down that cingulate.
So where does it go next?
F3.
Okay.
So do you know all the F's and all that stuff by now?
No,
What everything means?
not yet.
Well,
Getting there. You're getting there.
Almost closer than anyone else.
That's for sure. So as I move that back, and we're still frontal, so probably we'll still see more of the same thing than we did before. But what I'm looking at is this, and I'm looking at this, and that's a spectrum display, and that's another place where I look for artifact. If I see any 28 hertz,
Yeah.
I know it's artifact, and that means then is my computer's too close together? Is it the cell phone?
Okay.
Is it just energy?
I see.
Where my computer's plugged in? That's why I usually try to run it wireless when I'm doing this.
And so the colors and stuff like that. So once this is kind of all done, what does this all mean or do? Or,
Well, at the it means that like when we first started the session, we were looking at his graph from his last session, and we were seeing more blue. That means the brain is normalizing. It's coming into a more regulated, unstuck
yeah.
position.
Wow.
And I think there's a lot of things that can get that brain stuck. Certainly what he's been through,
Yeah, sure.
with trauma, physical trauma, emotional trauma, but there's life. Anytime you get really stressed out, those adrenal glands start kicking out that cortisol, and that cortisol actually can get into the gray matter in the brain, where those neurons and dendrites are wiring and firing.
Yeah.
That can create you'll lose that neuroplasticity. You'll lose that ability to move.
I see. Okay. So once this is kind of all done, is the brain working right now? I mean,
Yeah, the brain is
always working, right?
And when you're done, a lot of times, particularly with anxiety, I'll start with this.
Okay.
Or if I map somebody and I get nothing but orange, then I'll probably start with this, because I think I can train a lot better if that brain is unstuck.
I see. Okay.
So in essence, it's doing the same thing as Loretta neurofeedback. It's helping that brain to get into a regulated state.
I see. That's so interesting, because a lot of times you always think, kind of physical rehab, you can see the arm moving, you can see the legs moving, but the brain is so different.
Well, it is. But
interesting.
what they see is, I keep going back to anxiety, but people think, I'm calmer.
Yeah.
I was able to get up. I was able to get to work. I was able to, meet all of my goals for the day. No meltdowns. That's what you see. Those are the type of improvements that you see.
That's awesome. That's really great. And are there any questions that you frequently get about this, or if people have questions that they maybe weren't able to ask today, what would you want to tell them?
Well, that it's very, very safe. And people say, "Oh, you're putting energy in my head." No. I mean, it's such a low amount. It's very, very safe.
Sure.
But it can create reliably good change.
That's awesome. And one more time, what it's called and kind of...
It's called LENS, Low Energy Neurofeedback.
Awesome. All right, Leigh, thank you so much. And Dustin, thank you so much for kind of being our demonstrator. We appreciate it, and letting us kind of see a little bit into your life. And Leigh, if anyone has questions, what's the best way to contact you?
Best way to contact me is just call the office, 817-500-4863, or go to the website. There's a lot of good information there, and that is www.thebrainperformancecenter.com.
Perfect. All right, Leigh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.